the live stream link so everybody can retweet it from their accounts. And I'm going to drop this in the SVM community chat here. Okay. Happy Monday, SVM. Thanks for being here, everybody. As a reminder, this is Everything SVM. I'm your host, Alex Kahaya. I'm the host of a podcast called the Index Podcast, and I'm founder of a company called ABK Labs, where we are building open source tools for SVM builders. My co-host today is Omar, who's the founder of Mantis. Omar, you want to say a quick hi and just the elevator pitch of what Mantis is building?
Hey guys, yeah, so I'm the founder of Mantis. Mantis is hoping to build one of the first Solana rollups and dedicated to improving user experience for cross-chain interactions.
So we are doing a series, just as a reminder, this is a series of live streams. This will be the last one for now. We're going to do more in about 10 days. Just taking a break to focus on building for a little bit. But this is a series of live streams on SVM. We're seeing a ton of teams building interesting things, everything from like L2s to rollups to app chains to permission environments for regulated use cases using the Solana virtual machine. And we want to use this space as a public forum to share ideas and explore new ones. And our mission is and goal is pretty simple. We want to build useful open source software that accelerates Solana. And we want to do that with everybody in the community. So today I've got Karthik and Paprika from PepperDex. They're the co-founders of PepperDex. And Karthik, maybe you want to go first. Just please share your background, tell us your story, and how you got to the space.
Yeah, for sure. Hey guys, I'm Karthik. I started building a DEX on Solana initially in 2023, and then we kind of evolved the product and started building SpiceNet. SpiceNet is our video product of PepperDex. Is designed to offer a fast and reliable trading experience for users while being sufficiently decentralized. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm Paprika. I been in the space for over 5 years now. Started out as a trader. Actually took my first profit that I made from crypto and just took it straight to trading school and invested in myself and just learned the ins and outs of trading. And then, you know, from where I'm from, it's hard to get access to a lot of trading tools. So you have to go on chain to get access to them. And then in using that, just discovered how poor the on-chain trading experience is and started building on Dexterity Protocol, which is offered by Hero Network. And Karthik himself was also building on that protocol, a competitor of ours. And we actually decided to join forces because we loved what they had going for them tech-wise. They had a lot to offer on top of just the original tech stack. And they loved what we had going for us in terms of the branding and marketing and tokenomics attached to our tech. So we just decided to join forces in that way. And here we are.
Awesome. And can you maybe talk a little bit more about the technical roadmap and things that you're building?
Yeah, for sure. Okay. SpiceNet is our latest iteration of our product. As I said, it's designed to offer fast and reliable trade experience for users. It's built as a sovereign rollup on top of Celestia while having a trust minimized bridge from Solana. We use the sovereign SDK stack for the base like the base layer two, while we have the application layer on top, which is the trading protocol. Um, but then we don't stop there. We have a pretty large technical roadmap wherein we aim to solve the trust minimized bridging issue because we are based in Celestia. So to have a bridge with Solana, you need to do a lot of tricks. So we solve for that, and then next in our roadmap, we aim to solve interoperability between layer twos. So instead of following the Ethereum roadmap, wherein they are solving interoperability now after 4 5 years, we want to solve it initially so that it's a good experience for users as well. Um, and then after that, we're focusing mostly on the performance part of SpiceNet, like making very low level improvements, and then lastly adding parallel sequences to the chain.
I'd love to. I mean, maybe Omar, you have some specific
Yeah.
questions you could ask here, but I know you're working on interoperability too. But that's kind of one of the things I'm most curious to understand from Karthik and their
Yeah.
team.
Yes, sure. So, like we're taking different, like the approach to interoperability is that we wanted to be trust minimized. We did evaluate a lot of things that Ethereum has right now, like Polygon Angler, the ZK Sync hyperchains, things like that. Angler, I mean, also the end goal is things like shared sequences, but then you need a base protocol for safe interop standards. That's where we are using Polygon's Angler. We are porting it to Solana to offer security standards for low latency interoperability that is less than what Solana offers. So that basically uses ZK proofs to basically validate the validity of a chain, so that even if so when you're interoperating, chains need to trust each other. So that removes the trust, the trust part there. That even if one chain kind of equivocates, it only can drain funds, the amount of funds that it has deposited to it, but then not more than that. That is crucial because it uses a shared bridge contract. So the main attack vector is that one chain can be malicious and it can drain all of the funds of the bridge contract. So the liquidity can be at risk. So it uses ZK proofs to make sure that it cannot drain more than the amount of SOL or whatever asset that it has deposited. So that way it ensures security.
And what was the piece about parallel sequencers that you mentioned?
Yeah, yeah. So we kind of realized that in kind of a blockchain, you have a lot of factions that are non-conflicting. So, for example, in a trading protocol, let's say you're placing an order on the ETH futures and then I'm depositing. These actions are fundamentally non-conflicting. So either they can be so then you can just basically logically separate them, and then they can also be sequenced separately. So what blockchains stop at is you just parallelly execute them, but then we also parallelly sequence them. So there are multiple sequences sequencing these actions. So they are logical state separations, and then they're kind of again aggregated into a global Merkle tree by a separate consensus network.
Got it.
Yeah.
And what is the consensus, or are you guys still figuring that piece out?
Yeah. It's kind of far down the roadmap, so a lot of pieces there are kind of still up for grabs, but then that is the basic idea.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So I guess one of the questions I was going to ask you guys as well is why SVM, and what sort of has drawn you to, what has motivated you guys to get to this point, and like, yeah, sort of why
Yeah.
SVM, why Solana.
Yeah. Sure. So just to be clear, we did not use a SVM runtime explicitly because we are an app chain, so using a VM does not make sense because we do not support smart contracts. So that fundamentally does not make sense. We use the custom Rust runtime um, that is provided by the Sovereign SDK. Why Solana is because we were initially a DEX on Solana, so that makes logical sense, which is why we also have a trust minimized bridge with Solana from Celestia. Yeah. And then why we wanted to build is the main uh, uh, the main why is the time in March April when Solana had its congestion issues. That was really tough for users because they could not do anything on the app. For example, they couldn't create accounts, they couldn't place orders. For market makers, it was troubling as well because they wanted to update orders in like 2 3 seconds, for example. Now they had to wait 20 30 seconds, so that kind of sucked. Um, that was what motivated us to build a
Yes.
rollup.
Yeah, just to jump in here and summarize, Solana initially was the goal, right, for the home of our DEX just because it's the fastest existing layer one. But then we found that with the network congestion issues and even some speed issues, even with how fast Solana is, moving to a layer 2 is beneficial for market makers and for traders, just because it's, if you're running automated strategies, it's really hard to do that in an environment where you're not sure if all transactions are going to go through and you're not sure how much time it's going to take for those transactions to execute.
And I'm curious to hear, like, what are your takes? First of all, I guess I want to hear like how you view the landscape of SVM chains, like alt SVMs, given what you both just said, and the landscape of different potential solutions for interoperability.
Yeah. So the main thing that we see is Solana will have rollups, but then they will all be app rollups. So each rollup will have an app. It only will have a single app. And then the app makes customizations to the rollup like the way we do, and then they make the most out of what they have. But then we still believe that a lot of the apps on Solana will stay on Solana because what Solana offers is still great, and then it's sufficient for them. But some use cases, like for example trading or like low latency gaming or payments, they do not necessarily require, or like even in trading just futures, they do not require the ecosystem aspect per se. They just need faster environments. So we do not like, I do not share our general purpose SVM rollups on Solana. You can have them on Ethereum, obviously, like clips. But then the main use case of rollups, what I see is app rollups, um, where a lot of main use cases will still be on the L1. In terms of interoperability, that is still again up for grabs because like barely you have rollups at the moment. So you need to like each rollup has different stacks. So the interoperability on Solana will again look very different from the interoperability on Ethereum, because on Ethereum everything is just an EVM execution environment. On Solana, it doesn't have to be the same because right now we're running a Rust runtime while others can run an SVM. So interoperability will again look different, but then the base thing is you need a secure standard for interoperability such that user funds are not at risk, and then you have sufficient economic security. That is where the ag layers come in, which is what we believe, that irrespective of the end state of interoperability, you need a secure standard, and that is same across different rollups, be it on Solana or Ethereum.
Yeah, I think that's on point. I think we've been seeing that validated with the early developers out there building SVM chains have been expressing the need for that interoperability layer for sure. And just a set of like standard tools. I mean, one of the really inspiring things about the SVM community that we've been building is like everyone wants to work together on standard tools. I think we just have to align around it, and sort of figure out which things to focus on. What parts of, like, for example, the ag layer solution is an interesting one, and I think like Omar's team, they've looked at IBC, right? And so it's like, well, what's the route, and I guess I'd love to hear both your opinions. Like, how can we coalesce this community around working together on a shared solution and getting like actually doing, go from ideas to code commits?
Yeah, for sure. So like every interoperability solution has a blocker. So the main reason Solana does not have like the full-fledged WC yet is because it does not have lifelines. So that makes any sort of interoperability with Solana, and by definition, rollups and shunt to Solana, a pain. So you need to do other ways, like the way we do right now. We could have just used IBC, but then we don't know the end state of that. So we kind of build one other solution ourselves. But then so you just need to figure out the different trade-offs that each solution proposes. Again, at the end of the day, nothing is correct or nothing is wrong. It's just about the different trade-offs you want to make. Yeah.
Can you maybe talk a little bit more about your go-to-market? Like, where are you in your process of building PepperDex, and what's your go-to-market strategy look like?
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, there's kind of two separate verticals when you look at the go-to-market, because SpiceNet and PepperDex are really two different projects. So SpiceNet is that layer 2 that's more catered towards the trading experience and can be the host for any number of trading instruments. The first of which will be deployed by PepperDex, and PepperDex will be the first application on SpiceNet. So they are two separate things, because SpiceNet, well, being the perfect host for PepperDex, doesn't have to be exclusively for PepperDex. Like, other projects could deploy instruments to SpiceNet, and even other projects could tap into the Dexterity fork that's going to be deployed on SpiceNet and build directly to the same order book as PepperDex, right? So
I'm a little confused. So you've got PepperDex and SpiceNet, and PepperDex is an app. It's a Dex running on top
Yeah.
of SpiceNet.
Yeah.
And SpiceNet is a runtime for executing transactions. It's not a general purpose blockchain. You can't write custom smart contracts. There's like one kind of thing you can do on SpiceNet. It's an order book. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And so other teams building on top of it, how do you envision like different apps, existing on there when they can't write their own smart? It's not a general purpose blockchain.
So we draw a line there between general purposeness and permissionlessness. So our end goal is to be a permissionless trading chain, not a general purpose chain. So we want to enable permissionless innovation, but limited to trading. So that so like just an example that may extend to people listing their own instruments, like trading instruments. It may extend to people listing their own markets. It may extend to people deploying their own community source liquidity on SpiceNet. So that way, we want to enable permissionless additions to the trading protocol, the base trading protocol. But then that does not extend to enabling general purpose logic, because that would involve adding a VM, that would add additional overheads, that would reduce the performance.
Got you. And what are I'm curious, so you want a permissionless network. I assume, need validators to validate that network.
So
what's your plan to bootstrap the validator network?
So there's a difference on validators on SpiceNet, because we have fraud proofs. We are an optimistic rollup now, but then we'll transition to a ZK1 later. But then validate full nodes on SpiceNet validate state transitions with the help of fraud proofs. So they're kind of different from validators on an L1. So we do not need client diversity and other complications. But then we do have plans of incentivizing full nodes and other operations on the network with the with the L2 native token that we're gonna release soon. I don't think I can reveal it right now, because I think we'll put out a post about it soon. But I think Paprika can explain that.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I was kind of getting at with the two verticals. Like, you'll have like the L2 token Spice, as well as the app token Pep, and they're just kind of treated as completely separate projects. So the go-to-market is different for the two. Both are kind of coming in Q4 this year.
Yeah, so
that sounds like a lot of work. That's a lot to manage. 2 token launches, an app, and a protocol, like an actual blockchain.
Yeah. Well, the Pep token launch has been like structured and is kind of ready to go. It's just about getting SpiceNet prepared for like the full launch of the application. I definitely think that there's benefits as well to having like the 2 separate tokens and 2 token launches. A lot of layer 2s will launch with just a token, and then there's not much activity actually on the chain. Having like a separate token launch that's a gamified flywheel, and that's like a user experience that you can touch on day one and actually use on chain, is going to bode well for the launch of SpiceNet as a whole as well.
Karthik, I'm curious, what kind of open source contributions are you guys making? Is everything open source today, or will it be? And
yes.
Yeah, where do you stand on that?
So the chain itself is still closed source because of obvious reasons. It's still under development. But then the other projects that we're working on, such as Blob Stream Solana or Solana SVM client that we're working with, data dancer team. That is or will be open sourced in the coming few weeks.
Can you tell me more about that? The thing you're working on with
Yeah,
Time Dancer?
yeah, for sure. So, to enable trust minimized bridging between two chains, like chain A and B, chain A must know the state of B, and then B must know the state of A. To say here A and B are Celestia and Solana. So we just so for Solana to know the state of Celestia, we use something known as Blobstream, which just basically runs the Celestia light client. It generates a proof that we compute the Celestia Merkle root commitments, and that proof is verified on Solana. So Solana knows data availability of a specific blob on Celestia. That's part one. The part two is how do we know that the state of an account on Solana was something at slot n. That we do with the help of the SPV client developed by the talent answer team. So what we do is we have two components: the account state proof and then the signature verification of the Solana supermajority. So we compute the Merkle proof of the account state, and then we verify that the supermajority has voted on the block, and all of that is verified on SpiceNet. So SpiceNet knows that, for example, here it would be that the user, let's say, deposited or withdrawn from the bridge contract, and that would be verified with the help of the SPV client. And the supermajority signing over it means that the action is valid.
Yeah, so also just by the way, we've already shipped Solana IBC. I don't know if you guys were aware of that. I think earlier we had been discussing IBC. So yeah, our team, like Picasso Network, shipped Solana IBC 2 months ago. So like happy to join forces on like interop stuff as well, as
Yep.
you are progressing, because a lot of these things you guys are mentioning are things we've already dealt with like a year ago. So like happy to help on like facilitating basically a connection between Solana and Celestia, for instance.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, curious. Yeah, it sounds like you guys have been working with IBC. Why and Aglair? Are you using both?
No. So we're not using both at the moment because Angular Solana is not developed yet. We're working with Polygon to we're finalizing a spec to make that. We're not doing anything on the IPC side as of now because we already have a plan to bridge from Solana to SpiceNet with the help of Blobstream and SPV. So IBC is just an alternative to that, basically.
Got it. So we're getting closer to the top of the half hour here. And I know you guys have a lot in your schedule. We were talking about that right before we got off on the show. But one of the things I like to ask is like, what have I not asked that I should have asked, or that you guys wanted to bring up and talk about?
Seems like you covered most of the things, to be honest.
I mean, there's a very broad scope of things that we could talk about. I think that we could talk a little bit about go to market, just to like stray away from like the tech stuff for a bit. And, you know, that's what a lot of users want to hear about, is more kind of like the token flywheel. So I'll talk a little bit about the PEP launch and kind of how we anticipate that flywheel to function. Are you guys familiar with Tapioca DAO at all?
No, I haven't heard it. Tell
Okay,
me.
so they had their
Educate me.
token. Yeah, they had their token launch earlier this month, and it was a pretty good proof of concept for us because we took a lot of notes from their tokenomic model. And you know, even in the rough month of price action that the market saw, the Tapioca DAO token TAP came out just swinging, which was very nice to see for us. Basically, what they achieved is providing a revenue stream through their incentives. So what that does is kind of, you know, provides a way for the protocol to grow as tokens get released onto the market. And the way they do that is through the OTAP token, which is essentially a option to buy Tapioca at a discount. What we've done is evolved that OTAP token into OPEP, and we have a sliding discount depending on stake time for the underlying PEP. So the goal here is to reduce value leakage and increase protocol alignment. as well as providing revenue through the incentives. So the flywheel there is that users will use the DEX and get rewarded for volume on an epoch basis. And then they will receive that OPEP. They will execute that OPEP for either liquid PEP. And if they do, they get a 15% discount, or they will execute it up to a max stake where they will get an 85% discount, right? So if you want a max stake and just increase ownership of the protocol, you pay very little for your PEP, and it compounds in a way because you increase the rate at which you earn that OPEP. And then for those that are just farming and dumping it, that's fine. It's providing a little bit of sell pressure on the market immediately, but it's building the protocol over time because it's providing a lot of revenue, which goes to treasury, which goes to other stakers. So in a sense, there's a nice gamified component of it where they become the exit liquidity for those that are sticking around within the flywheel, because their revenue that they're using to get their liquid PEP is going to the stakers that are staying within the protocol.
Do you have a white paper or something we can point people to where they can read up on this and study it? That was a mouthful. And I have to see pictures.
yeah, absolutely. We do have docs. I'm on mobile right now, so I'll just have to I'll have to go and fetch that. I can throw it in the chat here. Is that best?
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
Or you can just DM it to me on Telegram and we'll share it later.
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
Cool. Yeah, we'll plan on doing that. So if you're listening in and you want to learn more about that, we'll be sharing some more information. And where can anybody listening find you and contribute? And what would you like them to contribute? It could be open source tools, could be help on the community side. How do you want people to get involved?
Yeah, I mean, I would say join the Discord community, join our weekly calls. It's a good chance for people to earn as well. We like to host like a weekly lottery, which is a lot of fun. And then just contributing through asking questions, kind of spreading the word, and just get into the community now. And then, the chances to contribute on more of a developer level will probably come later. And then the community growth aspect is always appreciated. Just activity within the community and the Discord, which is linked under our Twitter handle. So that's at the PepperDex. And you can look in the description there. The Discord link is there as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. Thanks, guys, for coming on and sharing about PepperDex. For everybody who's been listening, we will pick these live streams back up in about 2 weeks. I am traveling next couple days, going to be at the Alt Investment Summit, and then taking a break with family for a little bit, about a week. So we'll be off the air for a little while, but these Everything SVM live streams have been super fun. Omar and I have really enjoyed it. And if you're a team listening to this and you want to get slotted in for the next several live streams that we do, please shoot me a DM on Twitter at AFKehaya, Kehaya, and we'll figure out when to schedule it. But yeah, really enjoying doing this with everybody. Get in the community chat, SVM community chat, find somebody with the link. I haven't even shared it with anyone in days, and a lot of people have joined, so it's taken on a life of its own. But yeah, appreciate everybody listening, and we will see you on the other side. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us, guys.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye.